Babaji, while we're waiting. When one does get caught in the conflict or say something in the conflict, what's the best remedy? What's the best remedy?
If somebody says something that creates conflict in you, the best remedy or best thing to do in that moment is not react. Not react. You see, no matter what we do, either we react or we respond. This is the difference. Reacting means you are not thinking how what you are going to say is going to do to that person. And response is you already think about how it's going to affect that person and how to avoid that if it's going to be a negative reaction. So you will do whatever you have to do, pay attention whether it's a reaction or it's a response. So in my opinion, the response is the right thing to do. And even though you want to say something and you want to just get even and put them back in their place, but that may not be it's just going to create more conflict. So stop from reacting, smile, I hear you, just say a few words that gets that person settled. And once then they're settled, then you say, yes, but I think this way. So there is a right time for everything. Timing is very important. You can say exactly what you need to say, but maybe at a different time when that person is in a position to hear it.
There's a comment, Babaji. It says, thank you so much, Babaji. I'm in a trio and one of the members seems always very inflexible to my suggestions. I have a tendency to feel hurt, angry, and frustrated. So it's a big challenge, but your talk this AM is quite helpful.
There will be always some inflexible people, but always remember it's the one who is flexible can again stand up, but the inflexible, when it breaks, it snaps into two. It doesn't come back straight. So being flexible is a very good quality, and being stiff only breaks.
Lots of great questions and comments are coming in. One that speaks to active stance in the face of injustice. How do we deal with inner conflict that arises out of an inner feeling to protect someone else or injustice?
You can do exactly what you want to do, but make sure your action is not coming from a place of anger. Maintaining your peace, you do whatever you need to do. Don't lose your inner composure. This is our one responsibility to ourselves, to our own divinity, to our own wholeness. Staying connected with that, if we take action, it has its impact. Otherwise, if we are also coming from a place of anger to fight the injustice, we are also adding to that vibration of negativity and the vibration of anger. We have to understand that, it has gone on. Injustice has gone on from the moment we started living in the caves, and here we are going to the moon. And that time humans were killing each other with stones. Today they're killing each other with cluster bombs. So the instinct of hurting other and all this, it's there. And just by I want peace, saying I want peace, you can't create peace. Injustice is there. It will be there even after you and I are gone. So it's a very fine line. How do we navigate through it? Maintaining your peace, you do whatever you can, but don't lose your peace in the process.
Thank you, Babaji. And then a question about what tools can one use to maintain their peace after a traumatic event?
Stop. Take a step back. Take a deep breath. Even there is a traumatic event, look at your mind. You're always flowing in that direction. You're always coming from what could have happened, or why did it happen? And all those questions will come in the mind. So whenever we are faced with the trauma and we begin to totally flow in that direction, even a moment of stopping, detaching ourselves from it, and taking that deep breath and coming back to ourselves, catching ourselves, is very helpful. Being human, it's our conditioning, and something happens and we just start flowing in it and we totally immersed ourselves in it. The only way to stop is just taking a step back from it, just even for a short time. Just even for a short time. It is a little practice that I share with you every day. Every time we see raising the energy from the navel to the heart, opening the heart. These little practices can be very helpful. Maybe create this as a ritual, that this is my ritual to come back to myself. We are flowing towards the events, flowing. But even once we come back to ourselves is helpful.
Lots happening in the chat, Babaji. The next one is Shannon. I would like to thank Babaji for the elephant story. I also appreciate his advice on not being a victim. His simple statement on the distinction between human versus divinity within us was awesome. Thank you, Babaji. And then so much thanks and love for Baba's clarity and expressions of knowledge about staying in peace. And then a question. Thank you, Baba. I was wondering how to approach these kinds of dynamics when it comes to your parents, trying to express how you feel without being faced with condescension.
In older cultures like India, we have great respect for our parents. So ask yourself, how do you express your respect of respect? And while you are bending down to touch their feet, their hands go on your back, blessing. And many things happen in that moment. So older cultures like India, they have created these kind of little rituals. What kind of ritual can we create in this culture? What is your ritual of showing your respect to your parents? And I'm not saying that you go and prostrate to them, but figure out a way how they really receive your respect. And if you meet your parents, instead of getting into the arguments or talk and clarifying and making you heard, see what kind of thing that can be done that they know that you respect them. And if parents know that you respect them, lots of these conflict, the muck can be just cleaned out. If you try to be even, then the conflict is bound to happen. By showing the little respect means bringing yourself a little lower, you see, it passes. They're not fighting there. So we are children, and this is the one thing that's by showing your respect, you avoid lots of conflict. And mother has carried you in her womb for 9 months, nourished you, father has protected, provided. Give them a little respect even for that, even if you may not think they deserve it, but they do. Was that pretty heavy, Shannon?
I thought that gesture was like that, just summed it up so beautifully. So next question, Baba, is why does it become more intense and difficult when I really start to work on some of these issues of expectation?
It becomes intense because you think it is intense. If you think of your work, your sacrifice as flowers at the feet of the divine, then it's not as heavy. Because when you are working on it, you are still caught up with your ego. I am doing this for, it's hard. Let it be the offering at the feet of the divine. That makes any sense?
It does, Baba. Next up, how do you know when to speak up and say something about a situation, knowing it may make things worse versus remaining silent?
Can you say that again, Shannon?
Yes, Baba. How do you know when to speak up, knowing it may make things worse versus remaining silent?
Silence in the beginning is very important. And looking for a time when you see the person that you need to talk to is at peace, is somewhere, and approaching them and expressing that I want to talk to you. So that time, if you approach them and talk to them, I think you will have a better result than speaking in the moment. So when this is happening, the ping pong is happening, stop the playing ping pong, because nothing is going to be resolved in that moment. Catch them some other time. So silence has its own place, and looking for a right time to approach and discuss has its place.
There's one more, Babaji. You said we have the answers to our own questions. But I often don't know the answers. You mentioned respond and not to react. Is the stop, pause, and breathe the practice I need to continue to eventually find my answers to questions?
Hold the question in the mind. Don't be impatient with the answer. Answer will come to you when you are not looking for it. And when it comes, there is a little opening in your heart. There is a lightness in your heart. And that's how you know this is the answer. And we all have that. We just don't catch it. We don't just recognize that moment. And this is why we do little meditation and do little practice. And we at least get a taste of lightness in our heart. And this is one of the reasons that I really spend so much time, every time that try to connect you with that lightness in your heart, because that is the moment when you become familiar with that lightness, you will really learn how to trust yourself. Your body tells you, you just have to learn the signals of the body, messages of the body. Usually we steamroll through the messages of our body because we are so focused here. And ultimately, everything gets resolved. Everything. With our last breath. So don't be so serious about it. Enjoy the life you have and the time you have, the good health you have, the family you have. Enjoy it, because one day it's going to end. I didn't mean to say that as a heaviness. We all have to move on someday. So nothing is worth losing your peace. Thank you all for being here this Sunday, and I have to get back in the car and drive to Sonoma. And it's beautiful. And my blessings and prayers for your continued good health and happiness together with your loved ones. And thank you all. And please spend a little time greeting each other and saying hi to each other. And
Thank you, Babaji.